Hallo, guten Tag und willkommen zu Lektion 12. Today we are talking about how to be formal in German. In English you have no such distinction. To whoever you are talking to, you can just say you. In German, as in many other languages, you can't. So, if you meet someone for the first time, for example, you wouldn't say wie heißt du? Wie heißt du? We've heard that before. What's your name? Wie heißt du? You would say wie heißen Sie? Wie heißen Sie? So, you can see the word Sie is showing up again. You have learned Sie as the word for she or they. In combination with the verb, you see that we are actually using the they form from the verb. So, wie heißen Sie? The difference between the they and the formal you is that the S in Sie is a capital letter when you are using the formal version of du. And that is always the case, no matter if it's a question or a statement, no matter if it's the first word in the phrase or the last, it is always a capital S. Another example, you speak German well, or your German is good. Sie sprechen gut Deutsch. Sie sprechen gut Deutsch. When you're saying that to a stranger or someone you're not really close to. To a friend you could say, of course, du sprichst gut Deutsch. Normal form. Okay, so that is a distinction you always will have to make when meeting someone for the first time. This goes not for children, so with children you can only say du all the time, but if you're walking around in Germany and want to ask someone a question, a stranger you've never met, you will always use Sie and then the third person plural of the verb.
So, to friends, it's always say du. To them.
Yes, of course, absolutely.
And to strangers and maybe also some elder people, I should use also Sie form.
Sie is also a way of showing respect. So, especially with elderly people, you would never use du. And culturally, it's also a thing to know that normally you might wonder at one point, okay, we've been talking for a couple of times. Is it time to switch from Sie to du? You would wait for the older person among you to offer the du. So at the beginning you don't know them very well, you are formal, you use Sie, but maybe after a few weeks they will suggest, oh, why don't you just say du? Oh. Then you have reached another stage of your interaction.
What about in company, the ranking, maybe the people who are in higher rank than you, so you also use Sie? Better.
Yes, normally, of course. You wouldn't necessarily say to your boss do, unless they offer it, which might also happen. Nowadays, it's getting more and more common, especially among young people, to use du. But yeah, it's still a form of showing respect to say Sie, and you should definitely do that with a stranger.
So it's always in the beginning, unless they offer to...
Yes, you just wait for them to offer the du form, and yeah, you will always be on the safe side with Sie.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. Now, another thing to cover in this lesson is the imperative form. So, if you're not familiar with this term, imperative is the form of a word, of a verb, when you want someone to do or not to do something. Like you order someone to do or not to do. For example, if I say go, that's an order. I want you to go, I say go. That's the imperative form. In German, we have this as well, and here we also make a distinction between being formal and informal. Let's stick with this verb, go. In German is geh. Geh. No do, no nothing, you're just giving this order. So you just take the stem of the verb, the first part, geh, and that is your perfect imperative. Of course, it's a bit rude, but when you want someone to go, you probably have a good reason to be a bit rude. So, if you need to say that in a formal way, which might also happen, of course it's not nice to ask someone to leave. usually. But if you have to and you're not friends with them, you wouldn't say geh, you would say gehen Sie. Gehen Sie. In this case, we have the personal pronoun, but we put it after the verb. Gehen Sie. Capital S as well, if you need to have it in the written form. That would be the formal imperative.
So only in the formal form I need to also give the pronoun, the personal pronoun.
Yes, because otherwise it would just sound like the infinitive form, gehen, because that's the form we use with Sie in the plural. So it wouldn't be a complete form.
For informal form, I just say...
You just use the stem, which you don't use in any other context, so it's clear, and you don't use du. In this case, the same as in English, you say go. You don't say you go.
That's when I'm saying that to a friend, to say go.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so this was the rather rude imperative. If you are using the imperative in form of a suggestion, so like amongst friends you say, let's go, which would include yourself. We also have this form, and in this case we say, lass uns gehen. Lass uns gehen. So we have the verb lassen, which is let. So it's literally the same as in English. The only difference is that we do make a slight distinction if we are talking to just one person or to a group of people, to a group of friends. If I'm just talking to one friend, I would say lass uns gehen, singular, which is then also the imperative form because lassen is the whole verb and lass stem, so that's the imperative singular. And for plural, let's go, lasst uns. So that is just the normal ihr, you, plural form, ihr lasst. So lasst uns gehen, let's go. That's a small distinction. Actually, when you're speaking, people might not even hear if you have added the T or not, so it really won't be an issue.
But that doesn't happen in English. We don't have that.
In English, we only have let's, whoever you're talking to. And in this case, also, if you need to be formal, you're talking to a stranger, and you want to suggest that you both go, you would say, lassen Sie uns gehen. Again, Sie, capital S, and that would be the quite polite and formal imperative form.
Because again, I have to add a C
Sie.
there.
Yes, exactly.
But in the informal form, there's no need to use
exactly.
do.
Yeah.
I don't have to put do.
Because it's still the normal rules of the imperative form. Okay, good. That's it for the being formal and imperative part. And yeah, I will see you in the next lesson and thank you for listening. Tschüss.